Hello to you all. Welcome back once again. We're in Luke chapter 19 today, and I'm kind of excited about this one. There's some of my favorite topics going to be in today's story. One of those is Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus was a little wee man was he. And I'm kind of geeked about that. We're going to talk about him today. But before we get going, I want to kind of set the story. Today's story takes place as Jesus and the crew are heading into Jerusalem for Passover. Now, just to understand, Passover was a celebration that was held every year to remember the moment in epic history when Moses helped all the Israelites that were captive in slavery in Egypt for generations, helped them to get out of, and there's a whole story involved with this whole exodus from Egypt, right? Found in Exodus. But that story is for another day. But what's happening is Jesus and these guys are heading for Passover to Jerusalem, which everybody, if you're Jewish, it's what you did. And so Jerusalem got a little crowded, had a lot of travelers. You know, all the holiday inns would have been filled up and so on. But this is what takes place as we start off today. Jesus was going through Jericho, where a man named Zacchaeus lived. He was in charge of collecting taxes and was very rich. Jesus was heading his way, and Zacchaeus wanted to see what he was like. But Zacchaeus was a short man and could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed up into a sycamore tree. When Jesus got there, he looked up and said, "Zacchaeus, hurry down. I want to stay with you today." Zacchaeus hurried down and gladly welcomed Jesus. Everyone who saw this started grumbling. "This man Zacchaeus is a sinner, and Jesus is going home to eat with him?" Later that day, Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "I will give half of my property to the poor, and I will now pay back 4 times as much to everyone I have ever cheated." Jesus said to Zacchaeus, "Today you and your family have been saved, because you are a true son of Abraham. The Son of Man came to look for and to save people who are lost." All right, pause a second. I love this story because here is finally a very rich man. I mean, to point out he's rich, a rich man who Jesus said, "You got it." You know, how many times have we read in the stories before this where a rich man was like, "Hey, how can I do it?" And Jesus says, "Okay, go sell everything you have." And they're like, "Wah, wah, wah. Oh, I can't do that." And then it's like, "Oh man, it's bummer." Well, this one is where Zacchaeus has the right response. And think about this for a moment, because it says, Jesus said, "Hey, Zacchaeus, I want to go hang with you for a little bit today. We're going to eat together." So they spent the day together. And during that daytime, who knows what Zacchaeus saw? He probably saw Jesus heal someone, which would have showed Zacchaeus that Jesus is authentic and he is who he says he is. He probably would have seen Jesus caring for people, showing love for people who are different than him, which meant that, okay, Jesus is putting others first and himself second. So after hearing Jesus' teaching and seeing what Jesus was, who he said he was, Zacchaeus, upon hearing and seeing, came to a conclusion, a resolution, a true change in his heart, where he said, "I am going to change my ways." And change in heart is a lot different than change in mind. Somebody wants to change their mind, they'll just say words like, "I'm sorry, I'll try harder next time. Pray for me. I really need to change." Or this one, "Lord, I'm just trying. Please help me. I'm Lord willing, I'll overcome this great thing that I'm trying to overcome." You know, those are all great intentions, and those are all great things that a lot of us find ourselves saying, and maybe not as many words, but a changed heart is what Jesus is looking for. And Zacchaeus showed a changed heart that said, "Hey, I'm going to give away half of what I own. And for all those people that I did wrong, all those people I cheated, I'm giving back 4 times." Okay, what this really means, guys, if you're a mathematician, you may have already come to this conclusion, but for those, I'm so excited here. For those of us that are like me, that are not mathematicians, let me catch us up real quick, because here's what the math means. He gives away half of what he owns, his property, and he pays back 4 times what he's ever cheated. Do you realize what that means? Okay, if the profits are what he makes from a person, and he's going to give back 4 times the profits per person, what does that do to whatever money he's accumulated? That means it's gone. What he's saying here in effect, just so you understand, is, Lord, I'm willing to give away everything and start over again because I was wrong. And I want to do it right from now on. See, that's what it's about. It's not about just giving everything away so that we could become poor and we're going to miss payments and not pay our bills and become, freeloaders on society because we're just always giving stuff away. What this is saying is this. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to take care of our families. That's very important. Don't ever stop doing that. But we can't ever become so self-absorbed, so selfish that we ignore, that we overlook the people around us that could use a little help. And come on, let's be honest. We can help. If we could just give a little of ourselves, we could help. Jesus isn't saying to us, hey, you've always got to give away everything. But what he's saying is, are you willing? Are you willing to put others first? And the best way to show that is to do something that does it. I've done it several times in my life. My wife, Rachel, and I have done this where we've just said, hey, you know what? Yeah, I know this seems a little crazy, but I'm going to give what I really cherish, what I really count sacred and dear. I'm going to give it away. And you know what's always happened? I've never missed it. Afterwards, I've always said, my gosh, I don't feel like I've lost anything. In fact, I feel like I've gained. And that's the best way to feel and to be in life. People look at my life right now, they wouldn't look at me and go, man, he's really missing out on life. You look at what I've got in my life, and I'm happy, and I'm satisfied. That's what it's about. Let's read on. The crowd was still listening to Jesus as he was getting close to Jerusalem. Many of them thought that God's kingdom would soon appear, and Jesus told them this story. A prince once went to a foreign country to be crowned king and then to return. But before leaving, he called in 10 servants and gave each one of them some money. He told them, use this to earn money until I get back. But the people of his country hated him, and they sent messengers to the foreign country to say, we don't want this man to be our king. After the prince had been made king, he returned and called in his servants. He asked them how much they had earned with the money they had been given. The first servant came and said, sir, with the money you gave me, I have earned 10 times as much. That's fine, my good servant, the king said. Since you have shown that you can be trusted with a small amount, you'll be given 10 cities to rule. The second one came and said, sir, with the money you gave me, I have earned 5 times as much. The king said, you will be given 5 cities. Another servant came and said, sir, here is your money. I kept it safe in a handkerchief. You are a hard man, and I was afraid of you. You take what isn't yours, and you harvest crops you didn't plant. You worthless servant, the king told him. You have condemned yourself by what you have just said. You knew that I am a hard man, taking what isn't mine and harvesting what I've not planted. Why didn't you put my money in the bank? On my return, I could have had the money together with interest. Then he said to some other servants standing there, take the money away from him and give it to the servant who earned 10 times as much. But they said, sir, he already has 10 times as much. The king replied, those who have something will be given more, but everything will be taken away from those who don't have anything. Now bring me the enemies who didn't want me to be their king. Kill them while I watch. Woo! Yeah, this is getting a little graphic, huh? Kill them! But remember, this is a parable. It's a story that Jesus is telling. And this parable tells a story of servants who would represent us. Or servants, remember, servants in these times doesn't always regard to slavery as we might go for in mind. Servants means, frankly, somebody who worked for them, right? It was a common word for people who worked for someone else. Could be indentured servants, mind you. They might like pre-contract and say, I'll work for you for 10 years for $10,000, yada, yada, yada. But whatever, it's still, they got something in return for what they did. The point is this, though. It's not okay to sit on the sidelines and play it safe, is what Jesus is trying to say through this parable. That we all have been given something, that we're not the owners of what we have, that someone else owns what we have, has given that to us, this gift we call life. It's been given to us to do something with it other than just hide it. And so Jesus is teaching here that we are going to have to give an account for how we handled what we've been given, this precious gift that each of us have been given. And all of us have been given something. And I want us to be careful here, because oftentimes we can make excuses for ourselves. We can say, well, Did you know I was born in Flint, Michigan? Hello? That's why I can't do as much as that other person. Or we might find ourselves saying, well, if I would have just been born somewhere else, or if I would have been born a different person in a different society, or in a different working class, or with a different income level from my parents. And parents, let's not get started on parents. I didn't exactly have parents who you could look up to. Or someone might say, I didn't even have parents. Or someone might say, I didn't have both parents. We can give excuses all day long, but here's the point Jesus is making. We've all been given something. You've got unique talents. You've got unique skills. So what Jesus is saying here is, what are you going to do with what you've got? We can all do something with what we have, and you have been given something. The lie that I want to break in half right now is a lie that says you're not worth as much as that other person because of, and you fill in the blank. That's a lie. You are amazing. You are unique, God-created creature. The Bible tells us that we're created in the image of God, and God wouldn't create anything in his own image that wasn't meant to be beautiful. So we need to relax, take a breath, and remember that we are not the thing we just see in the mirror that we wish was a little bit different in some way. You've got to see yourself through a lens that's different, a lens that God sees you through. And that is that you are an amazing person with unique abilities. And if you need help discovering those, reach out to me. I'd love to help you because we've all got something to give. And what this parable tells us is we're going to have to give an account for it. So let's not make excuses. Let's ask ourselves, what are we going to do with the resources I have for 2000 whatever? How can I make a difference in this world with what I have? And let's make something happen for the world around us. Let's keep reading. When Jesus had finished saying all this, he went on toward Jerusalem. As he was getting near Bethphage and Bethany on the Mount of Olives, he sent 2 of his disciples on ahead. He told them, "Go into the next village, where you will find a young donkey that has never been ridden. Untie that donkey and bring it here. If anyone asks why you're doing that, just say, 'The Lord needs it.'" They went off and found everything just as Jesus had said. While they were untying the donkey, its owners asked, "Why are you doing that?" They answered, "The Lord needs it." Then they led the donkey to Jesus. They put some of their clothes on its back and helped Jesus get on. And as he rode along, the people spread clothes on the road in front of him. When Jesus was starting down the Mount of Olives, his large crowd of disciples were happy and praised God because all of the miracles they had seen. They shouted, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Peace in heaven and glory to God." Some Pharisees in the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, make your disciples stop shouting." But Jesus answered, "If they keep quiet, these stones will start shouting." When Jesus came closer and could see Jerusalem, he cried and said, "It is too bad that today your people don't know what will bring them peace. Now it is hidden from them. Jerusalem, the time will come when your enemies will build walls around you to attack you. Armies will surround you and close in on you from every side. They will level you to the ground and kill your people. Not one stone in your buildings will be left on top of another. This will happen because you did not see that God had come to save you." When Jesus entered the temple, he started chasing out the people who were selling things. He told them, "The scriptures say my house should be a place of worship, but you have made it into a place where robbers hide." Pause. When Jesus entered the temple, robbers, he's referring to robbers. Here's what was going on. You see, all these people, as said earlier, are traveling from around the areas to Jerusalem. So there's a lot of foreigners traveling in from town. They all had different currency, coins from the areas they come from. Well, in the temple, they had a rule. And that rule was they'll only accept one type of currency coin. If you don't have that type, you've got to get that so you can pay your temple tax. Or it's an offering, so to speak, that everybody had to give every year. It was like a half a shekel, right? So they had to do that. Well, it had to be a shekel. So how do you do that if you're from out of town? You don't know the area. Where do you go? Well, in this time, banks had begun to be established, okay? And so this idea of a banker or a person that exchanged the money would say, okay, you give me your coin, I'll give you this one. But they took a hefty interest on top of it. Like, in other words, it was exorbitant. This is why Jesus was angry, because these people are making a profit out of the fact that somebody just wants to give an offering, and you're going to take a huge profit. It'd be like, what the heck? You know, it'd be like saying, okay, look, here for Canadian, you need to use Canadian currency. So your $5 is going to give you $1 Canadian. You'd say, what? That's crazy, man. Well, that's what it was like at this time. Okay, so here's why Jesus is angry. People are making a profit out of people just trying to give to help others. Number one. Number two, what you may not know, if you did more research, I did this research to figure this out. This is very interesting. The chief priest, or the high priest, excuse me, the high priest got a percentage of everything the money changers made for a profit. It was a kickback. They gave him a percentage of that. So in this situation, when Jesus says this is wrong, turns the money tables over, and starts teaching from this point forward that money changers are wrong, and brings a lot of it to a stop, what happens? The profits go down for the high priest, or the chief priest, excuse me. And as the profits go down, what happens? He don't like this. Now you're digging into his pocket and starting to bother him. So it might give you a little motive for why things are about to turn ugly between these people plus Jesus. Let's read on. Each day, Jesus kept on teaching in the temple. So the chief priests, the teachers of the law of Moses, and some other important people tried to have him killed. But they could not find a way to do it because everyone else was eager to listen to him. Interesting little tidbit. The people were for Jesus. The only people that were against him were those ones who had something to lose. Let's be careful to never be like them. Have a good day.